Guys, what we're looking at here is the 6 transmission solenoids, okay, that are in a 2006 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo 3.7 liter 4-wheel drive. Now that car has a Mercedes transmission, and it's listed as a W5A 580 or a 722.6 is what the Mercedes number would be. There's a bunch of different ones, 722.9, that's incorrect. Those two are the numbers that you're going to be looking for when you're looking for parts. And I have laid out what the parts are on this. We're going to do a test on these to see if they're within range for use. You'll notice that there are two that look the same. Those are your pressure control solenoid and your shift solenoid. Okay. The part numbers on those, they were actually Bosch, and the number that's on the side is 0260130. And those are both the same. Okay. Sometimes you'll see the blue top, this top here. Sometimes you'll see a brown top. Okay. We're going to test those. There's two of those. Okay. Then you'll have your torque converter solenoid. Okay. This part number, you're only going to have one, is A140-277-0435. Aftermarket, you may have some that are 277-0000. As long as you check your specs, you'll be fine with the aftermarkets. Okay, these are expensive otherwise. Alright, you'll notice this one's a little bit different than the others. It's got a little plastic platform, just for lack of a better word. That can be orange, that can be white. Depends on whether or not it's original or aftermarket. Sometimes the aftermarket Mercedes are actually OEM, and they're made by Mercedes, but they are white. Okay, so don't get distracted by the color. It has one O-ring, that's important. Okay. The last three you have are all shift solenoids. You'll have one for first, second gear, and fourth and fifth gear. Then you'll have one for third and fourth gear, and you'll have one for second and third gear. Okay, they all look exactly the same. You'll notice I've got them just set differently so that you can see that different angles. Okay, sometimes these have a rubber boot. These particular ones I have here don't have the rubber boot on them. Some people run them with the rubber boot, some people don't because they interfere with the contact. Okay, we're going to test all of these. As you can see, they're all the same. Okay, they may have slightly different numbers. All right, the actual number for the OEM would be, for the replacement part would be A140-277-0635, and you will also sometimes see one that has, I believe it's this one here, one that may have a different number. You'll see it is actually still Mercedes-Benz, okay? But the number on that one is going to be different. The number on that one says A240-277-0000. Okay. Clearly that will also work. Okay. So you do have 3 shift solenoids, all doing different gears. Some do double time. All right. So the ohm settings on these, I've looked that up with another YouTuber, and we've come across the ohm settings for your pressures are 4 to 8 ohms. Okay, I'll explain that ohms test in just a second. Your torque converter spec for your ohms is 2.5 to 4, and then all your 3 shift solenoids are all 2.5 to 6.5 ohms. Now, the ohms is basically the resistance. Okay, as long as your solenoids are within those ranges, you should be okay. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to show you how to check your ohms on these things. Okay. What you'll need is a multimeter. Doesn't matter what kind you have. It can be the upgraded ones like the Flukes, or you can have your little $4.99 one from Harbor Freight. Okay, I'm going to use somewhere in between. I think I paid $8 or $9 for this on Amazon. It's a Dr. meter. The leads don't come off. That's the only problem. It's the only thing I don't like. But it still will have the same effect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick any one of these randoms. I'm going to do the TCC. Just because that's the problem that I originally started having on my transmission and why I'm in the mess I'm in now. But at any rate, we're going to test that. All you're going to do is take your multimeter, okay, and you're going to turn it to the omega symbol, which is looks like almost like a horseshoe, okay. When you do that, it's going to say 0.0, okay. That's fine. That's what you want, okay. Then what you're going to go to from there is, bear with me because I'm doing this with one hand. We're going to take this solenoid, okay. What you want to look at is the 2 points. Doesn't matter which positive or negative goes on which, all right. You're just going to actually pick one side or the other. And you're going to get that tested, okay? Alright, let's see if I can get this multimeter somewhat in there so you can see the volts. Okay, sorry for the bad video, guys, but you'll get the gist of this while we're doing it, okay? What you're going to do is you're going to just touch your negative to either side, doesn't matter which, okay? And you're going to touch your positive to either side, doesn't matter which, okay? And what you'll do is you'll see that multimeter start moving, okay? It'll jump all over. Give it a second, and it will start doing the count up, okay? If I could get these to stay in one place, we'd be all set. Give me 1 second here. Alright, trying to do this by myself is turning into a nightmare, but let's just see if we can get this done for you guys. Alright, let me get a little closer now. So basically you get the gist. We're going to put these 2 leads one side and the other. Doesn't matter which, okay? Let's see what we get for a reading. Multimeter will 0, then I'll start counting. You can hold it steady long enough here. You'll see I'm at roughly about 2.5. I'm moving around, so it's going to jump a little bit. Got to get your leads on a really good point. There we go. You can read it a couple times just to make sure you're getting what you're getting. Alright, so I ended up with 3.3. Okay, now for that solenoid, okay, I'm looking at 2.5 to 4. So what that tells me is, as far as the ohms are concerned, my resistance is good. Okay, I'm getting a 3.3. So we'll write that down, 3.3, just so I know. Okay, now let's go ahead and test one of the pressures. You'll see the pressure one has an actual, it's actually probably a higher resistance, I believe, probably because it's got more to do. That's going to be your, like I said, it controls the pressure, it tells your car when to shift and when to send fluid, that kind of thing. I could be wrong about that, you can check into it, but that's not really what's important here. Let's just see about getting this one tested. Alright, so we're going to move these out of the way. What we're looking at now is your pressure control solenoid. Okay, that's exactly the same as your shift pressure solenoid. Okay, they look the same. They got a round top, could be brown, could be blue. They've got the little conductors. All right, they're the fat boys of the group. Okay, they look a little bit different. That one compared to your little shift solenoid looks a lot different. Okay, can't mix those up. You have 2 of those. Alright, so let's check one at a time. Again, we're going to take our multimeter and we're going to put that on ohms, which again is, looks like a horseshoe. That's the omega symbol. Okay, and we're going to take the 1 of 2 and we're going to put our negative and positive, doesn't matter which side. Okay, we're going to put that on either side. And we're going to see what we get for reading. Hold it there for just a second. And it'll jump around. There's no easy way to do it when you're by yourself, but alright, now we should get a solid reading. It'll start jumping. When it stops bouncing around, looks like I'm at 5.3, 5.2, 5.1. let's try and keep my hands still here. Alright, looks like we're settling on 5.3. Oh, wait. Could be wrong. Do it 2 or 3 times just to see what kind of readings you end up with. Usually the same 2 that I get is what I go with. 5.1. There we go. Okay. So, ohms is good on that one. So we're going to write that down. That was my shift pressure solenoid. And I got a 5.1 reading. Okay. Now we're going to do our pressure control solenoid. Now these are interchangeable. So, I mean, I could be testing my shift pressure solenoid right now. But because they're the same, it doesn't really matter. So we're going to get our contacts on there one more time. Doesn't matter which side. Okay. I'm going to get one on one side, one on the other. And I'm going to tell you what I get for a reading here. Doesn't matter which side you test. Give it a minute to jump. You can barely see that, but my numbers are jumping here. So I'm bouncing between 5.6, 5.2. It's like we're settling again on a 5.1. Okay. You'll see they bounce just because it can be a little shaky when you're doing this test. And let me just get it on top here and see if that makes a difference. It'll bounce again, start over. Looks like I am settling on I want to say, come on guy, 4.5, 5.3, it'll bounce around. Looks like I'm settling on a 5.4 on that one. Okay, so they're a little bit different. Could just be because I'm shaky. But again, those 2 solenoids, if we look at our information here, you'll see that a good solenoid is between 4 and 8 ohms. We're at 5.4 on this one, and we're at 5.1 on that one. Okay? So far we've done 2 pressure solenoids and a torque converter clutch solenoid. Okay? And so far we are in range on all of these. 3.3, 5.1, 5.4, and if you look at the differences, you'll see that we're in range. Which is funny because this is the one that was coding me saying that it failed. Now, you can get a failure and it not be bad. It could just be dirty fluid. It could be a short. Could be wires that aren't plugged in correctly. But I had to change a conductor plate, which is this part here, because the speed sensor is included in all that. Okay, this is where your solenoid valves are housed. Okay, there's compartments, 6 of them. Okay, so let's get back to the testing here. We're going to do the last 3, which are the shift solenoids. Okay, like I said, these are all the same. We went over the numbers. And they're all on this paperwork here, so if you slow down your video, you'll be able to see it. Okay, but we're going to go ahead and test it. This one we can flip on in because it's a little bit flatter. Okay, we're going to get our multimeter in here. Let's hope that this goes a little bit smoother than it has been for me here. I'm giving you guys some kind of dizzy headache, but bear with me if you would. Get these things together. I mean, this is a fairly simple test, obviously. I mean, I'm a female. I'm inside my house right now because it's 50 degrees and raining here in upstate New York. But we're going to do this test real quick. Notice your ohms meter. I'm going to turn mine off, turn it back on, just to clear it. I'm going to go to the omega symbol. Okay, your multimeter might look different than mine. If you've got the one from Harbor Freight, which a lot of people do have, you're going to see your ohms is there. Again, it looks like a horseshoe. Omega is the symbol it's called. Okay. On mine's a little bit different. But we're going to take my leads now that I've got the 0.L. Okay. we're going to put these on. Doesn't matter which side. I'm going to do it with both so that you guys can see there's no difference. And we're going to take a test here. See if I can manage this with one hand. I'd be surprised if I can. Are we going to read? 4.1. No, give it a second. Again, I get two 4.1s. Holding steady. I'm going to go with 4.1. Now that fluctuated between 4 and 4.2, but we're going to go with 4.1 on that one. Okay? And we'll see on the ohm scale that this shift solenoid can be between 2.5 and 6.5. Okay? What I've got is 4.1. So we'll make a note of that. 4.1. Again, I'm within range. Let's do a quick test on his little brother here. Again, same thing. We're looking for between 2.5 and 6.5. Do a little shut off. Start it back up. Get your 0.L. Now I'm going to do these backwards. I'm going to do opposite of what I just did. I had them this way. Okay, now I'm going to go with them this way. Just to show you that it really doesn't matter. Okay, get them on there. You see that coming up and down. Here. Let's see what we get for a reading on this one. Give it a second, it'll start counting. Depending on your shakiness, you might not be getting a good contact like me. Sometimes they jump super high. It should never be a 16. If you get that, that's just a mistake. Just keep trying. Okay, so we're going to try this one-handed again. Seemed to work the last time. Alright. I'm on there. Here we go. It's going to start zeroing. And there goes the count. I'm guessing these might be about the same. And there's my 4.1 again. It may bounce a little. Okay, seems like it's sticking at 4.1. Okay, so again, 4.1 for the ohms, 2.5 to 6.5 is the range. That one's pretty steady as well. And we've got one more shift to check here. Now this is the shift that has the different part number. Okay, this part number is 240-277-0000. That's interchangeable with, here we go, there it is, interchangeable with 140-277-0635. Okay, all the same. Alright, so let's do this last test here on these ohms. I'm going to try to get you a little steadier on this one. I apologize again. And we're going to get these touching the contactors. Give it a second. 0. Now this is where it comes in handy if you have the alligator clips on your multimeter or ohms reader, whatever you want to call it. I don't have it on this one. I do have it on the others, but this is one I chose to use today, so we're going to try to wing it here. I'm going to lay this sucker down here. Alright. Let's see what I can do. Alright. Put a 0. Start jumping. See where it's going to land. Get a good contact here. And there's my 4.1, which seems to be where we're at on these shift solenoids. Rather than make you any dizzier, we're going to go with that 4.1 reading. Okay, make a note of that. Okay. Okay, so if we notice, we are all in range. Okay, on all of these. All right. Now there's one more test you can do to check these. And what that is your volt test. All right, that's when you start getting the clicky clickies. Okay, we've got my 3 shift solenoids, and we've got my 2 pressures. Okay, and we've got my 1 TCC torque converter clutch solenoid. Okay, what we're going to do now is a little bit different here. We are going to make these little suckers click. How am I going to do that, you ask? With my trusty jumper box. Now, some people use 9-volt battery. I happen to have a jumper box. Don't go out and buy one. It's 50 bucks. You don't want to do that. Find an old battery. Find a 9-volt battery. That sometimes works as well. I've seen that work. Because these things only take a small volt to get them going. Okay, you can try it as long as this is brand new. Okay, something that's going to give you some volts. Okay, me, I'm going to use my battery box. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to hook this battery cable up. All right, and we're going to get a reading. Actually, not a reading of sorts, it's a reading, but it's actually just my little click test. Okay, so here's my click test. I'm going to take the positive side and your negative side, okay, of your battery power, or, you know, your 9-volt battery. Okay, so I've got my positive, my negative, right? Now, I'm going to take another set of leads, not from my multimeter, but they're actually from the Harbor Freight multimeter, okay, where they plug in. You can use regular leads with clips on the end would be the best bet. This is just your standard, okay, here's the leads on one end and the plug-ins on the other, okay. What I'm going to do is we're going to hook these up to the solenoid. Doesn't matter which side you put them on, okay? You're just going to get those in there. And this is where it's nice to have a helper, because they can either do the touching of the leads if you don't have alligator clips, and we're going to do it the hard way so that you can see that it's possible without spending money on special clips, okay? Get those leads on there and just hold them with your fingers, okay, if they don't stay. Then you're going to take the other end of your leads. Alright. The other end of your leads are going to go black on black. Okay. I'm going to get that on there and get it out of the way. So I've got my black lead on my negative, which is my ground for my battery box. And these little suckers are hard to keep on, but we're going to try. Alright. One on one side, one on the other. Okay, I'm just going to hold those in place. Now, important part, you're positive. Okay, when I touch this to my battery box, positive cable, my jumper box, this should, you'll see sparks, but you'll also hear clicking. If I don't hear clicking, it's a bad solenoid. So if you listen, you'll hear clicking. Okay, you see the sparking. That click is my solenoid open and closing, okay, which according to the codes on my car, it wasn't. Well, it is now. So now I've got a solenoid that's opening and closing properly with volts, and it's also got the proper resistance at 3.3, which is within range of a 2.5 to 4. Okay, so that's a good solenoid. So we're going to put that one aside. Now I'm going to take my pressure solenoid, okay? Same test. Everything's still hooked up. I'm going to take the red and the black. Now it doesn't matter which side you put on which. I'm going to do it the opposite way here so you can see that it's different, but it's the same. Hold that on there, okay? Just so that the metal is contacting the metal. Don't be afraid, it's not going to zap you or anything. And you're going to take your black, make sure it's on your ground, on your now if you were using the 9-volt, okay, you would just, doesn't matter which side, you would just put them in the tops here, okay? You'll hear the click if it's working. So let's try this again. That one's a little more distinct. That's very defined. That's my pressure solenoid. Okay, so that one's clicking, which means it's opening and closing, and it's got good ohms at 5.1 on a 4 to 8 scale. All right, one more here. This is my pressure or shift pressure control, sorry, or shift pressure solenoid. Both the same, they're interchangeable. Okay, put those leads on there, hold the metal on metal, and then I'm just going to take my positive and touch my battery cable. You'll hear that. Okay, opening and closing perfectly. 5.1 out of 4 to 8 on the ohm scale, so those two are good as well. Put those aside. Now you got 3 left. These are kind of the big deal ones. I mean, the pressure solenoids are big deals, but these are as well. These are your shifters. Okay, we're going to say your first and second gear and your fourth and fifth gear, and then here's your one for your third and fourth gear, and this is your second and third gear. Okay, so you got 3 of them, triplets. All right, let's check these suckers out. Now you know what I'm going to do. Gonna put the black on the one side, red on the other. Doesn't matter how, as long as they're contacting the little bit of metal that's inside. Now, again, if you had alligator clips, this would be easier. I don't have them. I'm not going to the store in the rain. We're just gonna test these because they're out of the car, and I've got the ability to do it. So, here we go. Hear that click? Okay. Good solenoid. That one's opening and closing, getting the circuit complete. 4.1 on the ohm scale. Let's try this one. Maybe this is his little sister. That one's the third to fourth gear. Women kind of run high, so we're going to say that's his little sister. Hold on. So you got contact, negative on the negative battery cable. Just give it a touch. Hear that? There's your click. Circuit's opening and closing complete. Alright, 4.1 out of a 2.5 to 6.5 on the ohm scale. Okay, another good one. Last but not least, we'll say the older brother of all of them. Okay, doesn't matter which side you put on which. Okay, doesn't matter. Just get the contact on there. One on one side, one on the other. Don't worry about getting zapped. You're not going to. Negative on the cable, positive in your hand. Check that sucker out. That's a big click on that one. Okay, big click. That one's working. So, what does that mean? Okay, that means is, turn my battery box off here. What that means is that we've got a 6-pack of transmission solenoids for a Jeep, Grand Cherokee Laredo now, 3.7 liter 4-wheel drive. These can go in a multitude of cars. Okay, just check the listing. Know what you have. I talked to my sister's mechanic. He wasn't a transmission guy, so he put me on the phone with his transmission guy, who insisted that this car had the American made, which maybe some of them do. I was looking initially for a speed sensor. Those are, in fact, on either side of the 4.5 something or other transmissions on the American-made side for the Jeeps. But this one, I ran the VIN. That's your key. Run your VIN number. Okay. I'm going to check on this. It might be a 5WA. I'm not quite sure on that, but you'll know what it means. These are the two that I use to find parts for my car. Well, my sister's car. Because I know that this transmission is going to be a Mercedes. Okay? Because that's when, I think it was Daimler or Mercedes bought Chrysler. Okay? And our cars ended up with these. These are actually pretty good transmissions. From what I'm hearing, they're more reliable than they're electronic and they're more reliable than the American mades. But you got two $20 sensors for your speed. And they're on the outside of those, compared to my sister's speed sensor, which is, of course, on the conductor plate. Okay, this is an aftermarket one that I bought. was 70 bucks on Amazon. They can be 280. Advanced auto on a 260. It's working fine. So now I'm just checking solenoids because it seems to still have that problem. I'm doing a bunch of different tests. Could be a ignition switch, could be a bunch of different things. Because she's also got a no start situation going, which I believe is an ignition switch, but that's for another time. So what we've done here, we've determined that if you're looking at my video, then you've got a 2006 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo or something similar with a Mercedes transmission, okay? And maybe you had a torque converter clutch solenoid went bad. Maybe you had a code for a pressure control solenoid or a shift pressure solenoid, okay? Those are the twins, okay? There's your TCC, alright? And then you got your triplets, okay? So what we've accomplished here today is, you have 6 solenoids in your Jeep Laredo, okay? We know the ohms. We know how to do the tests. We know how to get it to open and close. Before you spend money on a transmission, check these little suckers out, because it's just a matter of dropping transmission pan, taking out the valve body, and swapping out your solenoids, okay? If this helps you, and I hope it does. It was a long one, guys. I apologize for that. If you have any questions, hit me up at the email. It's missfixnolimits@gmail.com, and I will try to check on that and give you any tips I can. This has been going on for about 3 weeks that I'm trying to fix this car and work at the same time. So when it's raining, I don't do it because of the transmission. You can't get water in the transmission. That just doesn't mix. Okay? So if you need some help with your job, you're scared because it's, the word transmission, ooh, scary. Don't be afraid. The conductor plate that I put in for her, $70 part, okay, compared to a $280 part, and I did it for free because I'm her sister. Whereas you're looking at a $2,000 job or a $1,500 job or even a $1,000 job, still a lot of money. You don't have it. If a mechanic does it, and he's not going to put in any time to research anything, he's just going to throw parts at your car. Okay? Biggest thing people do is put a transmission in, rebuild, get rid of the car. No. Try this first. Okay? This set of solenoids cost me 70 bucks on eBay. Alright? You can get them on Amazon, same price. This guy I knew, so I went with his. Alright? These are all good. This is the one that came out of my actual sister's car and was saying it was bad, so we are going to change the transmission fluid. We're going to put it all back in, check your ignition switch, a few other things. If you have questions on this vehicle and the transmission, what to do, how to get it down, let me know. Alright, if you need a specific video on trans adapter or doing the actual job itself, I have that as well, so just get a hold of me and I will take care of you guys the best I can. No limits, guys. See what you can do.